What's up, YouTube? So today, Riot released an article going over all the preseason 2023 changes. So these are going to be the changes that are going to be coming to preseason that will hopefully be live for season 13. So there are a lot of changes about the jungle, so I decided to make a video going over everything, my thoughts, reactions, and just covering everything. So without further ado, let's look at it. So the first thing that they're doing is they're bringing back Chemtank Soul. So for anyone that forgot, Chemtank Soul was the soul that made it so that when you die, you get revived for a short while. And the whole map was like this gas map that was really annoying to play. And no one really liked it. So after a few months, Riot actually removed it. Well, it's back. So what they're doing is they're bringing it back, but it's with a brand new buff and soul. So now instead of what it used to be, which was the getting more damage the lower you are and then having the revive, it will be giving a small amount of tenacity and heal/shield strength. So that's like the base buff that it gives you when you kill it. And then when you're below a certain amount of health, you get bonus damage as the soul passive. So it isn't anymore like the whole revive thing that was everyone's main complaint, which I think these are like really good changes, because it was a really annoying soul. I really didn't like it. You know, like I think it had something like a 95% win rate too, like something crazy like that, right? So the other good thing about this change as well is that they're going to be changing the rift as well with it. So in the past, there was this whole like gas map where you couldn't like drag out jungle camps. It was like really annoying to play. But now what they're actually going to be doing is they're going to have mutated jungle plants. So instead of that whole like annoying thing, it's going to be blast cones with twice the range as before. Honey fruits that are just better than the normal honey fruits. And then instead of the Scryer's orb being normal, it will give more vision than normal. And it'll reduce all the wards revealed to 1 health. So it'll make it easier for like supports to like get rid of this. So that's it for like dragons. Now this is where we come to the big part of the article, the jungle changes. So what they're doing is essentially they're making jungle pets, right? For anyone that hasn't been playing League for a while, in the past we used to have jungle pets where when you would smite a camp, instead of just getting straight health, you would actually get a bonus effect. So some of these effects were like if you smited wolves, he would patrol your jungle, blue buff would give you mana, Gromp would make it so that every like 4th or 5th auto against jungle monsters would like poison them, something like that. And then Raptors gave you a thing similar to like Oracle Lens, right? So what they're doing is they're bringing back jungle. They're bringing back like a different kind of thing, not smite upgrades, but now jungle pets. So what you do is when the game starts, I assume, or at some point in the game, you can buy these pets from the map or from the shop, okay? And then you can buy one of 3 pets. The first one is one that will give slows and bonus damage, right? So kind of like a red buff in a way, right? And then the second one is going to be a tankiness pet. So this is going to be giving a shield based on health and also slow resist and tenacity when the shield is broken, which is interesting. And the third one, for all the hacker mains, this is the one we're going to be using. There's going to be another pet that gives bonus move speed. So I was reading about these, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I think the third one is probably the most broken. So a lot of people underestimate the power of movement speed, but you can literally look and back in the day, right, if you look at any champions, when they have base movement speed nerfs of let's say 5 or base movement speed increases of 5, you could literally you can see straight up that their win rates will spike or drop by 2 or 3% just off 5 movement speed. So if we have a jungle pet that gives you, imagine, a permanent bonus 10% move speed, that is so much better than any kind of like shield or like slow or bonus damage. So all I'm going to say is I think this Ionin Cloud Leaper one is going to be one of the biggest things that you're going to see junglers taking. So another thing that they're going to be doing is they're going to be making these leash range indicators. So essentially what they're doing is they're making it so that it's easy without practice for you to know where you can drag camps out. But one of the things that they're actually doing as well is they're making it so that they're decreasing the amount of distance that camps can be pulled. Now, what does that mean? That means that everyone who used to clear red and raptors at the same time, right? Blue and wolves, leashes like this, I don't think you'll be able to do anymore. Maybe not even Gromp blue, honestly. So a lot of full clears are gonna get nerfed pretty hard with this. Fiddlesticks gonna suffer immensely. If blue Gromp is gonna be gone as well, then that means champions like Hecarim, Udyr, Kayn, Evelynn, they're also gonna be suffering quite a bit. And it's gonna be a pretty big buff to champions like, let's say, Kindred and Graves, right? So that's a pretty big change. It's gonna definitely switch up the jungle meta for sure, make it less of a full clear type thing, which should be a lot interesting. So then they're also going to be adding recommended jungle paths. So if you're a good jungler, this doesn't really matter to you. But if you're just trying to learn the role, then essentially what they're going to do is they're going to make it so that they'll give you recommendations. So, oh, you just finished your blue buff? Go do Gromp. Go do Wolves, right? Go do red buff. So they're going to be giving these like small things, kind of just like give players a generalized idea on what they should do. I don't think it'll be too advanced, but it should be an interesting thing to notice. So now another big change is that they're changing the communication tools. So a lot of pings are getting updated. They're making retreat pings or push, all in, hold, bait, right? So these are more for like waves. So if you're a bot laner, then these are going to help you a lot. And then they're also going to add these vision pings. A vision cleared, enemy has vision, need vision. So these are also like good pings as well, because usually you're just like spamming assistance and it doesn't really get the point across, especially in lower elos. And another interesting thing they're doing is they're adding objective voting. So this is gonna be cool. So they're gonna make it so that now us junglers won't have to sit there and beg our team, please rotate, please rotate, please rotate. We're gonna be able to actually throw up a vote. So our team can actually rotate to the plays that we're trying to coordinate, which is going to be really nice for us. And another cool thing that they're going to be doing is they're going to make it so that if you're getting pinged off screen, so imagine the enemy support's roaming and they're pinging MIA, right? A lot of people won't always be looking at their minimap. So Riot's actually going to be doing is they're making it so that no matter where you are on the map, you're going to see it at the bottom of your screen. So that's going to be really cool. It's going to make it so that a lot less people are going to be dying, a lot less people dying to roams and whatnot, which is honestly going to change the game up a little bit more. So up to now, I'm kind of like really liking these changes. So it looks really nice. So then more vision updates is that they're going to be making it so that now you can see when wards are expiring on the minimap without actually having to click on the ward. And same with the enemy vision as well. So another like really interesting change that's gonna definitely switch up the support and jungle role for sure. I think those are gonna be the two that are like mainly impacted. You're gonna see a lot of like probably junglers are gonna be playing more like gank heavy things, whereas supports will be playing more like lane heavy. So there's gonna be a lot less roaming supports, I'd assume, and a lot more single camp clear junglers that don't necessarily full clear. So big meta shifts all around, which is going to be really, really interesting. So then they're also going to add a thing that if you are a part of any like MOBA Fire, or maybe not MOBA Fire, but like U.GG or stuff like that, has, which is the recommended runes. So they're going to be having these recommended rune pages for every champion that you're going to be playing, which should be cool. It's going to help a lot of the newer players for sure, or if you're like randomly first timing a champion, it's going to be a good addition. So they're making a lot of these like beginner friendly interface quality of life improvements, which I think is a good step in the right direction, because a lot of newer players end up quitting just because they don't understand the game. So this should help a lot with new player retention. Which I think is a really good thing, right? Because we all want League to survive for as long as possible, or at least most of us. So getting newer players hooked onto the game is the best way of doing that. So first things first is solo lanes will now receive a 95% experience multiplier. So your solo laners are going to have more XP than they normally used to, because it used to be 93, so now it's a 2% increase. So That should mean that laners should have a little more impact on like games and whatnot with level leads. And they're reducing the amount of dual laner experience. So they're pretty much making it so that your solo laners are going to be higher level, but your dual laners are going to be lower level. So, I mean, the interesting thing about this change is that I don't know if this is targeted just towards bot lane, but if it is, then maybe you actually will see like roaming supports more. But if it's like just a general thing of like any lane that has two people, then we'll see. We will see. But it looks like ADCs are gonna be getting a little bit nerfed, but soul laners are getting a buff. So for all you ADC mains, I don't think you're too happy about that, but soul laners are happy. And then what they're doing is they're changing the amount of gold that mid laners get. So I guess inflation works in League as well as real life, because now mid laners get less gold. So they're going to be getting 1 less gold before 14 minutes for every minion spawned, which doesn't seem like much, but if you're there and you have like 100 CS, then that's 100 gold less that you have, which means that could delay your power spike by an entire back, right? And now we get to one of the bigger changes, which is the new and updated items. So I saw a few of these, and a few of these looked really interesting, especially for Hecarim. So we'll see what we're working with, right? So the first mythic item is 400 health, 30 armor, 30 magic resist, and 20 ability haste. And for each second in champion combat, gain a stack granting 3 armor and MR up to 10 max. At max stacks, become empowered, instantly draining enemies around you for 4% of your max health, and doubling your resist from stacks until the end of combat. So that seems like for any champion like Dr. Mundo or Sejuani or Rammus even, right? Any of these like big tanks, they're going to have like a mythic item that gives them a little more carry potential. I don't know if this is going to be replacing Sunfire, but it looks like a better version of Sunfire, so it could be. But, I mean, this seems like a really interesting item, so when it comes out, we'll see if it's broken or not. And now for the second item, another tank mythic. 400 health, 30 armor, 30 ability haste, 30 MR, and 20 ability haste, which is like another normal one. And upon casting your ultimate, you transcend, increasing your max health by 10% for 9 seconds. While transcended, you and allies within 1200 range gain 25 non-ult ability haste, and then you and your allies will also heal for 1.5% of your max health every 3 seconds, increased by up to 100% based on that champion's missing health. So this looks like a support mythic, so any champions like Nautilus or Leona, or even Blitzcrank, right? So these support tank champions will have another item that they can choose, which is good because right now, if you're kind of looking to... I feel like support itemization in general, especially for tanks, is just really bad because all you really have is Locket or Even Shroud, right? So adding a third item into the mix seems like a really good idea. So now another thing they're doing is they're changing Iceborn, and they're making it so that now it gives you 400 health, 40 armor, 20 ability haste, but no MR. And then after using an ability, your next attack is enhanced with an additional 100% base AoE physical damage and creates a frost field for 2.5 seconds. Your primary target is then slowed by double the amount and has their damage against you reduced by 10% for 2.5 seconds. So this is an interesting item. You might see this a lot on champions like, let's say, Nasus, right? Champions that used to build the Iceborn Gauntlet in the past, before they changed it to like Frostfire. So honestly, it looks like another really interesting item. I'm glad that they're adding more Sheen items into the game, because honestly, I feel like the ones that there are right now just feel really lackluster. So this seems like a good change. Up to now, I'm liking the item changes or the additions. So now we have Goliath's Ascendiary, 800 health, 200% base health regen, and 20 ability haste. So this is like a Warmog's V2, I guess. So charge up a powerful attack against a champion over 3 seconds while within 600 range of them. The charged attack drains the target, dealing 50 plus 10% of your maximum health as bonus physical damage, and healing you for that same amount. You permanently gain max health equal to 15% of the drain. Wow. this seems like a really cool item. I guess it's going to be more of like a laner thing, not really like a jungler thing, just because if you want to maximize the cooldown per target stuff, then you're going to have to make sure that you're in lane with the person, right? So I think this is going to be more so for like split pushers. Maybe Nasus is going to be building this a lot. We'll see. Or even like Garen, right? I feel like this could be a really broken Garen item. Looks like a really interesting item. I'm going to see how it plays out. But up to now, I don't really see any items that like Hecarim could use, right? So then they're adding Rod of Ages back as a mythic item. And this item gains 20 health, 20 mana, and 4 ability power per minute up to 10 times for a maximum of 200 health, 200 mana, and 40 AP. And then upon reaching max stacks, gain a level. What? Okay, that's broken. Alright, so I mean, this seems like a really cool item for mages. You have an item that gives you AP, health, and mana, so I guess champions like Cassin are going to want to build this a lot. Champions like even Galio, right? Any champions that are, I mean, this just seems like one of the best items, honestly. Much better than Ludens or any of the current mythics, so I think this will definitely be built a lot in games for sure. And it looks like they're adding Callus of the Eons, which used to be what Rod of Ages builds out of as well. So looks interesting that they're reintroducing older items. And then they're changing Abyssal Mask, so now it gives 500 health, 300 mana, 40 MR, and 10 ability haste. So restore mana equal to 15% of damage taken from champions, and health equal to 20% of mana spent. Okay. Curse nearby enemies, reducing the magic resist by 5 plus 1.5% bonus max health. Max of 25 for each curse enemy, gain 9 MR. Okay, so this looks like another, it looks like they're bringing Abyssal Mask as an item for tanks again. So more like tank itemization against mages, which I think is really good because right now I feel like there's just not a lot to work with if you're a tank. So changing Abyssal Mask seems like it's good. I mean, it's gonna seem like it's gonna have its like niche cases for sure, but definitely seems like a good item, especially for champions like, let's say, Maokai, or I would say Zac, but because of the mana passive, maybe not. But definitely Maokai for sure. It's gonna make it so he doesn't have to build tier anymore. So that'll be cool. So now, oh, they actually changed Sunfire, so it's no longer a mythic item. And then you gain 400 health, 50 armor, and then taking or dealing damage causes you to begin to deal 15 magic damage to nearby enemies for 3 seconds, and then damaging champions or epic jungle monsters with this effect adds a stack, increasing subsequent immolate damage by 10% for 5 seconds, 6 stack maximum. Interesting. So Sunfire is gonna have like a stacking mechanic similar to like Hecarim Q. And it looks like this is going to help a lot of junglers with their clears, especially the tank junglers like Sejuani, if they want to rush Sunfire and then build another mythic afterwards. So I think this is definitely going to be good, because I feel like tanks in the jungle right now don't really have too much to work with. So having Sunfire is something going to be like really, really nice for them. And then they're making it so that Chemtank is no longer a mythic item. Okay. 450 health, 50 MR, 10 ability haste. And you grant 40% MS towards nearby enemies or enemy turrets for 4 seconds. Once you're an enemy, a shockwave is emitted that slows nearby champs by 40% for 1.5 seconds. Okay, so this is going to be good for Hecarim because it means that for versus a full AP team comp, we can just build Chemtank even if we already have like another mythic. This will make things a little bit weird for Hecarim though, because Chemtank was one of his most popular mythics, so maybe that means that we'll see a lot more assassin builds or even more like Sheen builds. So we'll have to see like what kind of changes this actually produces. And then they're changing Randuin's to give 400 health and 70 armor, which is a good amount. And they're making it so that now crits deal 20% less damage to you, so it's still like the anti-crit item. No real big change here. And then they're reintroducing Spear of Shojin. So 65 AD, 300 health, 20 ability haste. Your non-ultimate spells gain 6 plus 10% of bonus AD for melee champions, ability haste, reduced to 3 plus 5% bonus AD for ability haste for mobilizing spells. Interesting. So let's say we're playing Hecarim and we build this item and we have like 300 bonus damage, then our non-ultimate spells are actually going to be gaining 36% ability haste, another 20 if you add the base 20. So I mean, maybe we could even be looking at rushing Spear of Shojin just to cap out the amount of CDR that we're gonna have on our early clears. So I think Shojin Rush on Hecarim might actually be really good. We'll have to see. We'll test the law when it comes out on the PB. And then it looks like Ravenous Hydra is going to be giving 65 AD, 20 ability haste, and 9% Omnivamp. So attacks and abilities deal 60% physical damage to other enemies within 350 units of the target hit. Gain 0.5 AD and 0.1% Omnivamp whenever you kill an enemy. Stack up to 25 AD and 5% Omnivamp. Lose 50% of these stacks on death. Alright, and can only hit each target once per attack or ability every 10 seconds. Cleave does not trigger on structures. So this I think will be really good for Hecarim as well, because you can just stack it against jungle monsters, and then when you go for ganks, you'll have like 14% Omnivamp, which will be crazy. So maybe we might even see like Spear of Shojin Rush into Ravenous Hydra, and then third item you build some kind of like tank mythic. But that concludes the preseason changes. Honestly, looks like a lot of good changes. A lot of changes to support role for top lane as well, and for jungle mainly. And then a few good item additions that could be good for Hecarim. So yeah, I'm excited to see. If you guys want to see any PB videos of me testing these things out, then be sure to leave a like or drop a comment in the comment section below. And I will see you all guys for the next YouTube video. Peace.